I actually used to be a school teacher before I had children and decided to stay home once I had them. So I was just enjoying where I was, and I had no idea that God was getting ready to call me to something more or to something so big in my life, to step me out of my comfort zone. So one Sunday, we were going to church, and our pastor had been on a sermon series called Stop the Hurt. And that day's sermon was going to be about human trafficking. During his sermon, I felt the Lord speak to me, and I heard him say, "You are going to be part of this." And I had no idea what that meant. And so I kind of nudged it off as just maybe one of my thoughts. Well, on the way home, I asked my husband, I said, "Honey, did you feel like you heard the Lord telling you that you were going to be a part of this and prompting you to be involved somehow with this fight with human trafficking?" My husband so nonchalantly looked at me and he said, "No." So of course, I thought that, well, this is just my crazy imagination and something that I had thought up during church service. So I put it in the back of my head and started going about my daily routines. But literally from that day forward, everywhere I started looking, there would be information about human trafficking, or there'd be television documentaries about human trafficking. I was even getting things in my email that should have gone to my spam that were about human trafficking. So after a few weeks of this, I finally remember sitting on my couch and I put my hands up in the air and said, "Okay, you have got my attention. What do you want me to do? What are you trying to say to me?" I didn't realize how bad of a problem it was in the United States. And so therefore, unfortunately, I really hadn't taken a lot of time to look into what human trafficking really was. So I started educating myself and continuing to pray, to journal. And during one of those mornings that I was praying, he gave me this vision. And it was a vision of all of these homes, and in the center was this tall lighthouse. And I thought, what are those? What are these homes? And he quickly brought to my heart that they were safe houses. Once I had the specific vision of these safe homes, I continued to pray, continued to journal, just really trying to get a better grasp of what it was that he was asking me to do. And throughout this journey, it became very clear to me that he was asking me to start a nonprofit organization, that our primary focus would be to provide safe homes for victims that had been rescued out of the trade. So I had no idea how to start. I didn't know what a nonprofit was, didn't know what a 501c3 was. I knew nothing. I was a school teacher and I was a mom. I had never delved into this world of nonprofit. I had a really clear communication going on between the Lord and I. I was just hearing him constantly, and the communication was just incredible. Until one day, something had changed, and I wasn't sure what it was or why. And so I asked, "Lord, why do I feel like we were having such clear communication? I was journaling daily, I could hear you so clearly, and now things are changing." And he said something to me that really about put me in tears. He said, "Because you're not moving." He had given me instructions, and because of the fear that I had in doing what he was calling me to do, I had just stopped and was collecting information, but not doing anything with it. So I knew that I had to take a step. I had to take a step forward and at least begin. That's what God was asking me to do. At least take a step of faith and begin the walk on this journey. So I invited a lot of people over to hear about human trafficking and just educate them about the problem we had here in the United States. It was incredible because I had 2 weeks from the time that I sent out this post about coming to my house and when they were actually going to be meeting. And within those 2 weeks, God laid so much out for me as far as the information I was supposed to be sharing with them regarding human trafficking, more as far as what this nonprofit was going to look like. I knew by this time that He was calling me specifically to begin with children, to begin a house for aftercare for children. I am beyond thankful that at the very beginning stages of my journey, God connected me with a nonprofit organization and founder in North Carolina, who actually was one of the very first homes to ever open over 7 years ago. And she was a godsend. It has not been an easy journey, but it has been such a rewarding journey. I have had my faith just increase in significant levels. While there's still so much to be done, we have seen successes already along the way in just the last few years. And that really gives us hope in the future and being able to be a part and possibly one day ending human trafficking. I am an example that God can use anyone. He uses the ordinary to put dreams and visions in their hearts and just asks them to be obedient. And I'm thankful that I chose obedience. And I'm thankful that because I chose obedience, I'm able to watch God multiply.